young, we have an amazing, positive outlook about how great life is going to be, but somewhere along the line, we forget to dream and end up settling. Join Up Dots features amazing people who refuse to give up and chose to go after their dreams. This is your blueprint for greatness. So here's your host, live from the back of his garden in the UK, David Ralph.
Yes, hello there, good morning, well, good morning to everybody out there listening to Join Up Dots. Now, one of the pleasurable things, the huge pleasures of Join Up Dots is that I get to connect with so many remarkable people, and certainly some of them connect a little bit more than others. And today's guest is one of those people who has come back a second time, and I don't speak to her very often, but I consider her as a really good friend and a sort of virtual friend, and hopefully she feels the same way. Now, she is a lady who has had many careers in her life, so it will be of great interest to discover if she feels what she's doing now is the thing. Now, we first spoke to her back on episode 287 of Join Up Dots, like I say, and it was certainly a powerful episode. If you haven't listened to that, go back. We have had a ton of feedback on that one. Born in East Chicago Heights, Illinois, she was reared in rural Hart, Michigan, and after beginning college at Eastern Michigan University, she returned to her roots in Chicago, where she began a federal career with the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And then it seemed strange to see it from an outsider's point of view, but it was during this time that she became a protege of Grammy-winning songwriter and arranger Eugene Record and had 3 releases under the name The Shy Lights. But her life has been one of contrast, as away from the glamour of musical output, she has for 35 years plus worked in civilian government service, 7 years as labour leader and as a national negotiator. She's a lady that knows how to get her point across and can make a difference for so many. Now, the last time we spoke to her, she just started releasing her best-selling book, Whose Apple Is It Anyway?, and starting her empowerment centre. And in the book, she tells in her own unique voice a story of emotional and physical abuse, rape, divorce, and a 17-year marriage to a man who was later convicted as a sexual predator. So she certainly has a history that will resonate with so many people who have endured similar tales of distress and woe. But it's with a force of character that ties it all together and gives the whole platform a central focus that our guest has got to show her true strength. The programme is stronger because of who she is and now what she is. So why did she for so many years appear to be driven and in control of her business life but pushed around in her personal life? And would she go back and change anything, or is this just part of what has made her who she is today? Well, let's find out as we bring onto the show to start joining up even more dots with the one and only Linda F. Williams. Good morning, Linda. How are you?
I'm just fine, David. I'm back here with you. It's so good to hear your voice.
We're buddies, Linda, aren't we? We're buddies. We've never met, but there was a real tight connection when we last had you on the show.
Absolutely, and I've watched you and connected with you on Facebook, and some connections are just eternal. And if we don't talk for a year, the minute we exchange a communication is as if no time passed at all.
That is the true mark of a deep friendship, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, my friend.
Now, I like your deep voice because it's quite sexy, Linda. You've got that voice. Have you always had that voice? Is that one? Did you have it as a small child?
Yeah, people who haven't seen me for decades, you grow, you get glamorous, you get older, and if they don't notice my face, my voice stops people in a crowd. But I'd love to linger here for a minute because I've struggled with being authentic and speaking publicly about this very factor. Because since you and I spoke, I went on a national radio tour, and on my very first appearance, there were 2 gentlemen that were interviewing me, and they on the air live accused me of being a transvestite. They would not believe that I am a woman, have always been a woman, and never had any desire to be anything other than a woman. And this happened 2 years ago. I'm getting a little emotional here because I really want to use myself in this vulnerability as a grounds to help somebody else embrace who they are, David, because it had me questioning myself. I've always been a woman. I've given birth to 2 children. I've been married twice. But that day, something got planted in me that really had me reeling. Well, I got over it. I handled the interview very professionally. And then uh, just recently, a phone call comes out of the blue. I answer the phone. It was my business phone, and it's a woman on the other end who's saying, "You called me." I said, "Well, this is Linda Williams." Then it got silent, and she said, "Linda." And I said, "Yes, I know your name is Linda because I could see it on the caller ID. But I said, I'm also Linda. How can I help you?" And she said, "I ain't never heard of a man named Linda," and she hung up on me. So now I'm reeling again about my doggone voice and questioning myself. And if this show is about people being authentic about things, I have held back speaking about this publicly. And I want to use your platform to speak about it because it's some of the things that we don't want to embrace about ourselves that are our greatest power. And you have to have truthful, trusted others in your life who can really pull you back from the brink. And my daughter and my sister told me that not everybody hears my voice as if they're listening to a man. And they assured me that the power of my platform is in the authenticity and the power of my speaking voice. But I just want your audience to know that there are going to be many opportunities to crawl in a corner because you don't like the way you look or you don't like the way you speak or somebody else has something negative to say about you. And if you want to be out there to help people, there are going to be trolls out there that are going to hit you right where it hurts. And I just want to tell everybody that I'm struggling with embracing that about myself. It's something that's been there all my life, but why all of a sudden, now that my platform's getting big and I'm reaching more and more people, am I still struggling with this?
Yeah, but Linda, that's gonna happen, and that, as I say to so many people, is a badge of honour. If you are operating in a way where you're not getting negativity thrown at you, then you're not operating big enough. And that is how life is. And unfortunately, people are going to be out there to try to rein you in because they're seeing what you're doing and how you're pushing yourself out there. And so I would say to people, it's my voice. You know, it's my voice, it's right. it's my words, and it's how I am. And the weird thing about people's voices is you're the only one that hears your voice. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't want to start a podcast. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't like how I sound." And I always say to them, "You're the only one on the planet that thinks you sound like that. Everybody else thinks you sound like who you are." So, So who cares, Linda? Who cares? I say to the world.
Yeah, I think that's wise advice to people. That's one thing that does stand between people just putting out videos or putting out podcasts. We have to understand that you're so correct because we have to understand, David, that if we are doing something right and if our focus remains helping as many people as we can, okay, then there's evil forces out there just in the universe that don't want us to do that. Then you have individuals who are jealous. One thing that I have tried to do in the middle of this struggle is maintain a focus on the people that I'm called to reach. My daughter, she's got an opportunity to see me speak publicly about a year ago, and she said, "Mama, there's compassion." She said, "And there's power in your voice." She said, "People feel the love and the compassion." And she said, "There's just power." She said, "There's power in your voice when you speak. There's power in your voice when you pray." And basically, she said, the people that you're called to help, the people that you're a divine connection to help, are not going to hear a man when you're talking to them.
Right, so I wasn't expecting to really focus in on this, but this is a key point to sort of life generally. Why, when you've got me saying you sound very sexy, Linda, and you've got your daughter saying that you have got a voice that has knowledge, it has presence, it has gravitas. You know, you're not sounding like Cyndi Lauper, certainly, but you've got a voice that conveys wisdom. Why are you still struggling with what these two Herberts on this radio show said? I don't get it. You're too big for this, Linda. Move it on.
It's the human condition, my friend.
No, it's not. It's your condition.
Yeah.
You're lingering on this, where you should just go,
that's
right.
correct.
I've moved on.
But it ties to the human condition that people will focus on that minute, when people judge themselves by how others judge them. It's generally tied into some, I hate to use the word weakness, but these weaknesses, these mindsets are part of the human condition, in that if I were to go back, I could probably tie it to some point back in the decades ago where somebody did something to me that I might have forgotten, but yada, yada, yada. So that's what I mean. It's the human condition that we all have something. It might be my voice here. It might be something else with somebody else. And like you said, we tend to major on the negative instead of listening to the positive voices and what they are saying. And that's what I'm saying. It's important to have a group of truthful, trusted others that you can see. I can make the choice right now and say, okay, I got a group of truthful, trusted others, and they're all saying something different. Because I trust them, I'm going to just believe them and keep it freaking moving. But see, this is the point of the whole authenticity thing here. I am a life coach, an executive coach, wrestling with this thing that I helping other people get over. And sometimes the power of overcoming that is being honest about it publicly and being authentic and vulnerable enough to, hey, look, I got this issue that I'm dealing with here. And sometimes not holding it back and not keeping it a secret is the key to being able to, like you said, keep it moving. Listen to the positive voices. Two knuckleheads out of 1,000 shouldn't be ruling your life. Does that make any sense?
It makes total sense. It does. But also, I think it's a bit of a crock as well, Linda. I think, I think you've dragged it around for too long. It's time to just go.
I don't disagree.
This is it, and just who you are. I get slagged off terribly through Join Up Dots. Now, I do a show and I do a podcast, a program, and everything that I do, I try my best to help people, and I try my best to provide the best value, and I try to do it in a fun and entertaining way, or a deep and emotional way, so people never know what they're going to get, right? And so I think to myself, how can anybody turn the tables on me and say anything bad? It's not possible. But of course it is, and it comes back all the time. Now, I actually now love these comments that get thrown at me, because it gives me a real chance to actually go back and face them head on, and I do. And everyone that I get back, I email them, I send a personal message. I actually say to them, if you're in the area, I will meet you face to face, and I will speak to you face to face, because what you're saying is a reflection of yourself and not me.
That's truth.
And
that's truth.
With you, these guys are actually, in the radio show, they're highlighting themselves and not you. And so you should basically think to yourself, what I was a mirror shining that light back at them. It never actually got me. Their words never actually touched me. They were actually talking to themselves.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I found out a few months later that there were two guys. One was more positive and got off of it. Another one kept harping on it. That guy got fired off that radio show.
There you go. So they were insecure in themselves, and they've been found wanting. Now, what happened?
Yeah, well,
you moved on, and you've ended up on Join Up Dots. So that's a good place to be, isn't it?
Look, there you go. I'm really making it now, boy.
So to say to me, Linda, my name is Linda F. Williams. I love my voice. I love who I am. It doesn't get any better than this.
My name is Dr. Linda F. Williams. I love my voice. I love who I am. And it doesn't get any better than this.
I didn't say the doctor bit. You threw that bit in.
Yeah, well, I did. With really a lot of hard work, I finally did get my doctorate.
Well, good on you. Right, okay.
Yeah.
So let's get over that and let's make this sort of hugely positive. So when you was on the show last time, I actually remember being hugely inspired by the person that you was, but I wasn't as inspired by the person who you were trying to be at that time. It felt to me like you had one foot in the camp and you weren't really, as we're talking now, I suppose, buying into your actual inner power. You were kind of playing the role more than actually living the role. Would that be a fair appraisal?
I think to the extent that I had just begun the business, just finished the book, and still had more growing to do, that would be true.
And so how have you moved from that point to where you are now? Is the business where you want it to be, or is it still in the transition? Because all businesses kind of, I think, operate at the same level as our inner confidence. And I think the more we believe in ourselves and get confident, the more our businesses sort of operate as well. It's a kind of balancing effect.
Yeah, it's an extension of who we are. The business is not where I want it to be yet. But in the interim, since we spoke, I've changed my focus a couple of times. And as you may know, every time that focus changed, then I had to rebuild all my platforms. So I might have say, for instance, I was putting myself out there as a life coach only. And so I was dealing with relationships and personal problems. And those were the followers I had. And then when I flipped the script and changed to executives, then I had to rebuild. So you rebuild from the beginning. I've had two situations where I've changed focus since you and I spoke, but my current focus I've maintained for over a year now, and I'm just getting comfortable with that matter. So in other words, I'm a jack of all trades. I can, when you're dealing with human behavior and the human condition, it applies to all venues. And I had to overcome a mindset where my marketing was concerned, where I felt like if I focus on one area with my marketing, that I was denying myself everything else that I was. So that was a major mindset that I had to overcome. But with respect to where my business is now, I really would like to be reaching a lot more people. So I'm struggling with trying to figure out how I'm going to do that effectively without running myself into the ground. As a life coach, what you do is you're doing a lot of one-on-ones, and you can just do so many of those in a day. And I really want to extend my focus. So that's where my business is now.
Well, what you've got to do, Linda, in that event, because you have got a story, you've got a tale to tell, you've got to find influencers. You need to actually bring exactly what you did earlier, because last time you was on the show, 287, and I do ask people to go back, you told some really harrowing stories, really honest stories that resonated deeply with my audience, and especially with the ladies. I had so many messages saying what a powerful woman. I was almost in tears listening to it, how she expressed this. Now, with yourself and your message has to be amplified, and I think the only way that's going to happen is by accepting that you need to share that message with influencers. You need to share it so your message can be amplified, because we all try to do it on our own, and we all try to sit in our rooms and think that we can do this and we can do that. But effectively, there's people ahead of us that have already done it. And if you find the right one, for example, if you went on Oprah, just for example, your issues would be over. because
Right.
suddenly you would have a platform, a global platform, that people would turn their attention to you. So what you
Right.
need to do is take your talents and find the platform that fits right for you and your story, and use your
Okay.
power to help that influencer share their gifts to the world. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay, I hear you. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so when in your area, you know, what we
Okay.
do most of all, we will look at people in our area. But what you need to do, you need to look at somebody who is at a higher level than you in the same area and focus in on connecting and bridging gaps with them. You don't want to be vanilla. You don't want to be generic.
Right.
You need to be exactly who you are and start building a connection with that influencer. And if you do it in the right way, you know, they will respond. They will respond.
Oh yeah.
But it's about getting out of your head and out of your apartment and your laptop and saying, I don't need to do this myself. There's people out there that have already done it. I just need to tap into their streams.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Do that for me, Linda.
Yeah, I sure will. That's a good goal for me. Absolutely.
You do that and you tell us how it goes on. So with
doubt.
yourself then, and the change, the pivot, as you say, you've changed twice. What was the thought process behind that? Because I see this time and time again that people do pivot in their business, and more often than not, the pivot actually takes them away from what they should have been doing in the first place. And a lot of the times the pivot is to do with desperation of earning enough money or paying the bills. So they think, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, instead of actually staying true to themselves. What was your change of focus for?
Yeah, what I did was, this was really weird. I took a 2-month course that was, he said it was a LinkedIn course to get your LinkedIn profile together, but what it wound up being was a marketing course. And what happened to me personally was I got pushed into past a bunch of mindsets, like you're challenging me now on the influencer thing. This course was hard for me because in the first few weeks I had to push back past a bunch of limiting mindsets. So what it did for me is it helped me to narrow my focus specific to my LinkedIn profile. Okay.
Yeah.
And so once I did that, then I had to rebuild a whole new website, yada, 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 yada. So in the middle of all of this, what it did was it taught me that my core focus, my core purpose for existing can be the foundation of all that I do. But for me to throw all that out there is going to confuse everybody. So what I did was I do it all, but on my LinkedIn profile, it's focused on leadership because of all the leadership experience and the growth I had when I was with the federal government. And I found that I did that really, David, because it leveraged multiple parts and aspects of the things that I learned, but it's still based on my education and the fact that I am a personal change agent, and my whole focus is let's cut to the core of all of the chaos as opposed to chasing symptoms. So my LinkedIn profile is specific to leadership because that was what I learned in my career, and it's tied to human behavior. My website, though, I've got life coaching, executive coaching, ebooks, yada, yada, yada. So my whole challenge has been not to go away from or focus on where I can make money. My focus has been overcoming certain limiting mindsets and at the same time leveraging the power of my academic background and my leadership background.
And how where's the synergy between the Linda that we spoke to at the beginning of the show, that was really raw and authentic, and the sort of education, the leadership, the career? Where's the synergy between the two then?
Well, the synergy between the two, from my You might see a different way, but the synergy between the two, from my perspective, is cutting to the core of the chaos. So, in other words, the cure is in the cause of a situation. So, regardless of whether you're a CEO sitting in the main office and your whole life is tore up from the flow up in your personal life, and your relationships and your career are all whacked out. I'm not about giving you a bunch of do this, step one, step two, step three. We cut to the core of the chaos and what's really at the core of the way you're thinking and why you're thinking that way, so that you can make better choices and be happier in your own personal life on all levels. So the synergy comes all the way back to the human condition. It
Now,
comes all the way back to the human condition, as I said earlier in our conversation.
now, are you happy in your life then, Linda? Because it's, once
I've
again,
got some growth to do, David. I've got some growth that I need to do. I'm not fooling myself about that.
and so
Okay?
can you teach people to live a more centered and fulfilled life if you're struggling? And this is an open-ended question. It's a sort of, it's just me thinking. Are you in the place to teach people that? Does it become more useful
That's a
because
good question.
you're dealing with it?
You know what? This is a good question. I think that the question goes to one of the reasons why a lot of people don't step out into their purpose. They're they're judging themselves or where they are. Nobody's going to be perfect and sitting pretty ever in life, because if you're a human being, you should be seeking to grow more, and you're always going to be dealing with circumstances outside of your control. Okay, so so from the perspective that nobody's life is ever going to be absolutely perfect. Well, let me put it like this: most people's lives are not going to be absolutely perfect, but when you share of yourself, my sister told me that the power of my platform, that I need to be authentic and real and be truly who I am. And so the bottom line is, to some extent, I'm stuck on stupid. Ain't no shame in my game. I'm not trying to hide that, but I've learned enough along the way that I can't sit and watch other people going through the same stuff that I've been through. So while I'm still growing, David, I've already grown. I've already come a long way. So based on what I've already come through, then that gives me the position of being able to help other people that are in those same circumstances. I mean, you know, I'm not trying to save the whole world, but there's a certain cross section of the international population that are just now going through what I've been through, or coming up on something, or dealing with a mindset left over from that. So to that extent, I have no doubt that whatever I'm here for, that I'm fully capable of accomplishing. Uh,
I agree with
where
you.
helping other people are concerned, yeah, where helping others is concerned, that's my main focus.
No, I think
So I
you're
never got
right.
caught up. Yeah, I've never gotten caught up in the, oh, let me do this over here because that's going to make money, and let me do that over there because that's going to make money. I cannot have that focus because that's inauthentic to who I am.
Now, I
If
think
that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And I think that is a powerful message for the listeners out there, that effectively you've got to accept your faults. You've got to accept that, we all sit on the toilet. We all, have bad nights. We all do good things.
Oh, yeah.
And life is not the polished version that we see online. And more often than not, it's about accepting that our businesses are never going to be finished. They're never going to be perfect. They're never going to be. But it doesn't stop you being able to look at other people and know where they're going wrong. And that's the key thing. I think
that's the key.
There's a human trait where we can see other people's issues easier than we can see ourselves. We have
bottom line.
We have a blind spot, don't we?
Bottom line. You said it. That is so darn true. Okay, so I could be sitting over here judging Joe for this, and I'm sitting over there being just as stuck on stupid as Joe is. But really, your main focus has got to be, like I said, helping other people and really leaning into who you are. I tell my clients all the time, your greatest power is realized in the truth of who you are. Know that truth, and that truth is unfolding as we grow, as we heal, as we gain new mindsets. It's about embracing who you truly are. And the reason I went there earlier in this conversation is because for my growth, I had to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I had been fighting talking about it. I wrote a little blog. I put it in draft. I wouldn't release it. I started to do a video about it. I didn't do it.
So why did you decide? Why did you decide on Join Up Dots that you were going to, be so open so easily?
I did not. I did not know that I was going to do that until you mentioned my voice.
Right.
I did not know until in that moment.
So was it because I supported you that you felt more willing to sort of open up?
Well, let's put our relationship aside here because we already established that there's something special between us. And it was not anything more than in that moment I decided, no, Linda, you're not hiding from this anymore.
Right. Okay.
Because you want to hide this vulnerability. You will never overcome it. And in that moment, I made a courageous decision that I was going to just talk about it and get it off my chest. And it takes courage for us to do that, David. It's the stories we think are too true to tell that are holding us back and blocking our vision. But I found that, and I've even written a little ebook on this, I found that if you get over your fear of opening your doggone mouth about what you think is too true to tell for whatever reason, pride, or I got an image and I don't want to this, until you get the courage to speak it out, it will hold you back. And in that moment, I could have just blew it off, say, okay, thank you very much, David, and gone on. I made a decision that I'm tired of this thing ruling me. I made a decision in that moment. I'm just tired of it ruling me. Let me go on and tell everybody that this is a problem I'm having, a mindset challenge I'm having, and I can see in my head that it can hold me back, but my heart is still hurt. So it was just a decision I made in the moment. And we all have stuff like that. We all have something in our lives that we think about ourselves is something that we can't talk about. That for me, I don't know why it would trigger shame. I know I've had this voice all my doggone life. I can't change it, never will. That's conscious mind telling me that. But my heart was somewhere else. And so it was just me in the moment having the courage to be that vulnerable right now, David. So that my head could announce to my heart that this ain't worth your destiny.
Well, I'm
speaking it out.
I hope it comes from my heart, but I'm proud of you for doing that, Linda. And
Thanks, Dave.
I hope it is a step forward for you. I hope in a little way you've opened that door that you've been hiding behind somehow.
I really, it's just those in the moment decisions to be courageous enough to be vulnerable that makes us more powerful. How can I continue to tell my clients, your greatest power resides in the truth of who you are, and take them through what they need to go through in order to face that truth, and I can't face it myself. See, that's what I love about what I do, David. You ask me, how can you, if you're this, you know what? My deal is this. As long as I am continuing to challenge myself the way I challenge my clients, I don't let myself get off the hook. If I'm going to challenge Joe Blow, you need to blah, 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 then I don't get a pass on that in my own life. And to me, that's the power of authenticity. I'm not out here trying to put up a front out here on social media like I'm all that, the bag of chips and the milkshake. I need to be, I know, that, we can do, you mentioned it earlier, we can do that on social media. We can be everything and look so great, and take pictures in front of the Lamborghini in the big house, and I did it like you do it too. Or we can be very authentic and very real and very ethical. As a coach, for me, I have to hold myself to those standards. It's a decision that I have made personally with respect to my authenticity and being ethical and not trying to hold every of my clients to a standard that I can't step to myself.
I often consider it these moments that you're talking about, these in the moments when you say, am I going to do it or not? Like life's bungee jump. And I've never bungee jumped, and I can't see the point in doing it. But I know that when I'm standing on the edge is going to be the worse than actually jumping. Once I'm jumping, I'm doing it, and I think, okay, I've survived it. But it's that bit, just standing on that precipice, ready to jump off. And I think in life, we have those all the time, don't we? It's like when you're at school and you see the girl that you really fancy and you walk up, but as you walk up to her, you can't say anything, so you just sort of walk away. And you look at it and you think, it's not going to kill you. It's not going to do anything, but we still get rooted to the spot by these situations.
Yes, and it's a human condition, and it happens in a split second. It happens in a split second. And see, your audience, you got a lot of people out there who are fed up with sitting in the cubicle every day. They know that what they're doing every day is not tied to their purpose. They're out of line with who they truly are. And they just need somebody to give them the push and the power to make the decision to move toward their true purpose in life. And if my being this vulnerable, David, it's going to help them to see that they're not the only ones out here feeling that mess, then it was worth it to me.
Here, I agree. One of the special ladies that have come through my life through the show, and I referenced her in an episode recently that I did, is a lady called Megan. And Megan was a lady who was in San Diego in America doing a job that she really didn't like, and she was having a bad time professionally, I suppose, and emotionally, and the whole smorgasbord of life's emotions was hitting her. And now I think she lives in Czechoslovakia teaching kids to be teach English and learn English. And she had so many of those moments, I think, where we say those life's bungee jumps that you think, should I do it or should I not? And her life has dramatically changed. Now, I don't speak to her as much as I used to, but she's such an inspiration to me for the reason of she actually did something, and she kept on doing these jumps until she got to where she wanted to be. And none of them killed her, but I bet every single one of them were absolutely terrifying to do.
Well said. Now gavel down. That you close the show. People need to know that when you make these transitions, it is fearful. Change is fearful. Change walks you down a road you've never walked down before. And when you add in your own internal voices trying to talk you out of it, and then people in your life trying to talk you out of it, then you have to eventually have somebody there that's going to be in your corner and support you through every step of that, because we can talk ourselves out of stuff. The day I retired from my 37-year job, David, I didn't wake up that morning planning on retiring. That was not in my mind. I was going to pay off my car first. My boss sent me the wrong email at the wrong time. By the end of that day, I had filed my retirement papers and told him I was up. I'm out of here. That's how quickly things can turn on a dime. Now, my sister had been telling me for 2 years, Linda, you need to get on out of there. You're not feeling pushing this paper anymore. Yada, yada, yada. And I wasn't hearing a word she was saying. But it took one email at the wrong time, and I stepped down. And that happened since you and I first spoke. I retired that day after 37 years with the federal government. And I decided I was going to focus on what I'm here breathing for, my purpose. Now, you hear people tell stories like that, David, and they sound all glorious and inspiring and motivating, but it's not all that when it's you making those decisions. And people need to understand. My thing is this. Look, you can do it. That sounds cliche-ic. I know every time you hit a little inspirational video, you're hearing that, and then you're looking at other people who did it and thinking that, oh my goodness, they're so courageous. They're no more courageous than you are. Whoever's listening to this, I'm no more courageous. David no more courageous. Those people on those inspirational videos are no more courageous than you are. Okay? And you can do what you know your heart is telling your breathing to do. That's where you find deep meaningfulness. There have been many, I'm an expert on cultural change and employee engagement, okay? And everybody's trying to put the free food over here and give them that, and then movie night. No, no. All the research is saying that employees are more engaged and happy in their jobs when they find meaningfulness in what they're doing. And somebody's sitting out there right now in a cubicle or on their way home in their car from a job that they cannot stand doing because they're not finding meaningfulness in it. It doesn't mean they're pushing paper, and they're unhappy because they know that they're breathing for another reason. And I just want to encourage you out there right now that yes, that's fine. Embrace and lean into being unhappy with where you are, because that's going to be the catalyst to walk you straight into the destiny that you're here for. It's going to walk you straight into the destiny that is a divine connection for someone else. It's going to walk you straight into the meaningfulness every time you wake up in the morning, because you're doing what you were born to do. I just want to encourage you not to give up, because this can be you.
Now, for all the listeners out there who wouldn't want to hear Linda's voice constantly, every morning, every evening, to give you that burst of motivation, your voice is a gift, Linda, and
Thank you.
You've got to embrace it. You've got to get it out to the world.
Thanks, David.
I could listen to you constantly, and because I know that with every word you say, there's experience. And it's not words that you've read in a book. It's not words that you've seen from a YouTube video. It's stuff that you have lived, and you have been through it, and you have come out with the scars and the warts. And so every time your voice makes a sound, that is life you're giving us.
Thank you. I will embrace that. I will embrace that. You know, I'm over here. When I talk to you, I get so emotional. But I was shut off from my emotional self for so many years that I wouldn't allow myself to feel for other people. And there's something to the fact that you draw that out of me in these interviews. I really appreciate you.
Well, we appreciate you as well. And you actually pulled me off the path today. Normally, I play motivational clips, funnily enough, through the show. This time we haven't, because Linda has been delivering all the motivation that we need. But I want to take you on another journey, and I want to send you back in time, not to the young Linda, but to the Linda that was last on the show back on episode 287. And if you could go back and give her advice to how you got here, what would you say? Well, we're going to find out, because I'm going to play the music, and when it fades, you're up. This is the second time you've done it, the Sermon on the Mic. Ooh,
here we go with the best bit of the show, the Sermon on the Mic, the Sermon on the Mic.
Linda, hello. Yep, you went back, you got that little Linda, you brought that little Linda along, but you're still integrating her into your life right now. What I want to tell you is simply this. You are the power of your purpose. And that entails everything that you are, your mistakes, your vulnerabilities, your authenticity, your voice. Yes, I said your voice. And every time that any aspect of your talent had been shut down in the past, it's been because you listening to negative voices about your voice. I want you to understand something before I let you go right now. This is what I want you to understand. That for you to turn your back on the little girl that you were many years ago, and come to realize 40 years later that she was the power of who you were, then you cannot turn your back on your voice. You cannot denigrate that. You cannot be ashamed of that, and you can't run from that, because again, you're getting ready to make the same doggone mistake. You're turning your back on who God made you to be. And if your voice sounds like Barry White, then so darn be it. Stop trying to be somebody that you're not, because when you stop trying to be somebody that you're not and embrace the fullness of who God created you to be, then you will be fully equipped to be that divine connection for others, and they are the focus, not you. Remember that.
Amazing. Amazing stuff. Linda, for all the people that have been listening today, how can they connect with you?
Just Google Dr. Linda F. Williams, and all of my social media will come back. Before this airs, I will put a clip to that radio program I told you guys about, where they I kind of handed them their behinds, but where they told me I was a transvestite, so that you can hear that. I will put that on my social media, and you'll be able to see it. I'll pin it to the top. I want you to listen to it. And David, look, I love you so much. Sight unseen, my friend.
Same here, Linda. Thank you so much for spending time with us today, joining up those dots. And as I always say, please come back again when you have even more dots to join up, because I do believe that by joining up those dots and connecting our past is the best way to build our futures. Dr. Linda F. Williams, thank you so much.
It's been my honor.
Bye.
David doesn't want you to become a faded version of the brilliant self you were once to become. So he's put together an amazing guide for you called the 8 Pieces of Advice That Every Successful Entrepreneur Practices, including the 2 that changed his life. Head over to joinupdots.com to download this amazing guide for free, and we'll see you tomorrow on Join Up Dots.